Welcome to RCS. I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick.
How's it going, man?
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Did you know that there is a certain way to put a dirt bike up on a stand, and there is a wrong way to do that? And that if you go down, this is, of course, a hypothetical situation and has nothing to do with the fact of why I'm wearing shorts today and with a giant Band-Aid on my knee. If you warm up a motorcycle, per se, and then you try to lift it up onto the stand by the wrong side, the exhaust will melt the tip of your knee off.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not the Carter Struber tip of the week, but it is a lesson that was learned by a friend of mine this week. So, yeah.
I'm sorry for your friend.
Well, he can't wear pants right now, so he's he
doesn't
tried.
Usually.
Well, no, I mean, it's cold enough that he should be wearing pants, but yeah, so that's why he's a little limpy today. So, yeah. Also, he had to end up shaving his knee so the Band-Aid would stick. I mean, this guy's an idiot, but yeah. So yeah, so he's hoping to be able to stop limping soon. So yeah, but jeans are not what you want on top of a Band-Aid, he says. I hadn't told Dan that story.
No,
and he's so used to me seeing this person in shorts yeah.
Well, I was like, I saw you in shorts today. I was like, it's a little cold, but whatever.
Oh,
maybe you just came from the house. You're not going anywhere but here.
It's extremely cold no matter where you're going. Yeah, yeah. So, or he said, my friend. I got to stick to the story if I'm going to get it right. Yeah. So, yeah. How are you?
Better now. Things are good. Things are very busy, but things are good. We're getting ready for our Avance event this weekend, of course, where I will be cooking up some hot dogs. You guys should come down and check that out. But speaking of Avance, we're brought to you by them.
Yes.
And Carter Automotive Group. I would say Drivers Club, but nope. That's Haggerty Garage and Social, where we're recording at this evening. And, of course, Haggerty Insurance, Salvo Design, York Real Estate, and Griot's Garage, RCS 10, which if you heard our bonus episode, you should be using that code a lot.
A lot.
So I chased down a weird problem in a car this week. Really weird one, actually. It's the first time for me I've ever seen this problem. That doesn't happen very often.
I'm inquisitive, and also I'm trying to plan every joke that's coming after this. So continue.
Well, thought it was a bad belt. I was getting a weird squealing at low idle, like idle would drop.
Your truck?
No, the Audi actually.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that is really weird, but it popped the hood, no belt squeal. Could not figure it out. There's like a little bit of scoring on the belt, but I think that was from like when a tiny piece of gravel got between a pulley and a belt. No damage to the belt. It's fine. Dealer said it was fine. Dealer was chasing it down, trying to diagnose it. Turns out it wasn't coming from the motor at all. It was coming from the interior. And it wasn't coming from anywhere in the interior. It was coming from the speakers. And it was directly related to the automatic start, power draw, and a wireless charger.
Oh.
So what it was the wireless field from the charging head, which was in the Audi, is directly located in front of the MMI screen, just a little bit below it. And
it's built into the car? Or
no,
the one you put in there?
We've added an automatic charger, a wireless charger.
Yeah.
So just pick up the iPhone, drop it on the wireless charger mount.
I've got
no
one
problem.
in my car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Really, really popular option. It's actually a great magnetic wireless option in a vehicle if you want to do a wireless mount. Holds the phone steady. Not so much on the big ones. It does, but you need to have a special case. Anyway, point being, it took a lot to figure it out. It was like, how do I repro these steps over and over and over again? And then it was the faint memory of high school and not having proper grounding in stereos and hearing that whine. But it didn't quite sound like that. It sounded a little different.
So the magnetic field was affecting the speaker?
Is affecting the audio. At low idle, the power would drop because at idle, the more you rev, your power kind of stabilizes with your alternator. You get more power as you rev.
Your electrical power.
Electrical power. So it's like in an old school vehicle with a lot of lights that weren't LED. You literally would rev it up and get a hair brighter. We all, if you're old enough to remember that, that was a thing back in the day. And I was like vaguely remembering, like, what does this remind me of?
Where has this happened to
me
before?
Where has this happened? Like, why do I vaguely remember this sound and this noise?
It was like when you turn on your stereo and you had an amp and then your headlights would dim.
Yep. And didn't have any dimming, wasn't affecting the idle, but it was directly related to the automatic start-stop. When it would go into turn off, that's when I hear the noise because then everything shut down.
Okay.
So now that I've learned this, and because the Audi A3 and S3 are extremely popular cars with really only one good mount, which is that dead center spot, if you do this and you hear this noise, that's why. And it was a nightmare to diagnose, but as soon as I just immediately pulled the plug, sound stops. And so now I'm trying a different mount with like different magnetic, like a shielding on the backing of it to try and get it to stop me from interfering. Or I could technically permanently disable start-stop going in and doing some tuning.
I've got the iPhone and I've got the MagSafe. I've got that Belkin one that clips and goes into my vent.
Really nice one.
And then I ran a cord. I've hidden a cord in my dash that runs back to the USB and plugs right in for power.
Yeah, so this plugs into the USB.
But is your actual mount what's charging it? Because I actually have a cable I plug into it every time. The mount just holds it there.
No, this wirelessly charges it.
Oh, okay.
And it's the wireless charging is what it is. You can plug it in via cable, no problem.
Well, that's what I was saying. Maybe like the Belkin one. In fact, she doesn't listen to this, but that's what my mom's getting for Christmas. She doesn't even know it. Yeah.
Well, anyway, if you hear a weird, strange electrical sound, if you are doing a wireless charger in your car, it's something to be aware of in the placement. I guarantee this will not be the only time this happens.
Sure.
Anytime you can put an issue like that out there, and the more we see wireless charging, magnetic fields, things like that, that's a weird thing to diagnose, but it's a thing. Magnets, how do they work?
Who knows?
I'm just kidding.
They're from the aliens, so who knows?
Yeah, and I thought this is awfully specific to be a Carter Subaru tip of the week, but when you're hearing weird noises like that, like I said, as we see more and more everything moving to wireless charging, it's just a weird thing to be aware of. And I think it may have to do more with the placement of where it's at than anything else. Like, there's a lot of cars that come factory with wireless charging, usually down below in the console. But if you're like us and you want your phone up where you can actually see it, which sort of defeats the purpose of having CarPlay, which doesn't work that well anyway. Yeah.
Well, that was a whole list of things right there.
Yeah, I can just keep going there. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, weird diagnosis, but just something to be aware of as you try it. I wish I had the opportunity. Now I'm just like moving the mount around to seeing where it doesn't do it in the car. Mm-hmm. But man, what a first, right?
We got to learn, right?
Yeah, so that's a fun one. Magnetic fields, watch out for them with electrical equipment.
They're hard to see.
Yes. We have an interesting guest this week by request and by popular demand, which I have seen and I'm excited to have on the show. Richard and Dolores, welcome to the show. You may know them more by their vehicle because they put that out there more than their own names. It took me a while to figure it out, honestly. I knew the car way before them.
Yeah. In fact, when you sent me the initial article, I was like, well, who are these people?
Who's Otis?
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah.
Which one of them is Otis? I'm like,
I don't
neither.
Don't call her Otis. I learned that one, though. Jesus, I'll tell you.
That is a very popular thing I've heard, though. Mm-hmm. Is who's Otis? And then they put it together. If you've read PCA or Spiel, or I think it's in Spiel you've been in, right? Yeah, I've read several PCA articles, and especially the Northwest chapter, or you've read coverage in the Alcan 5000, another big popular one, or anywhere there's Porsche's Ren List. No. You probably have heard of Otis Porsche, and that is actually the name of their Cayenne at this time, right?
Yes.
Richard? Yeah.
Yes, it is. When we built it, we didn't really build it we built it for function. We didn't build it to get notoriety or anything like that. It was a result of a lot of experience that we had previous to buying the Cayenne. We had an interest, both of us, in taking long trips. When we first met, I had a trip that was over 5,000 miles planned. And Dolores and I hadn't known each other that long. I told her, look, if you want to come along, come along. And she decided, yes, but. And the but was, I had an Audi Fox, and she had an RX-7.
Oh, wow.
She said, I will go on this trip if we take the RX-7.
Okay, now I want to talk about this because you and I were talking, and Dolores were talking about this a little bit as we were walking around. You got in trouble for buying that Fox before you even were introduced to her, correct? You had the option to buy, you were thinking about buying a BMW 2002 or this, and she disagrees with the buying of the Fox, I hear?
Exactly.
I didn't know you could get in trouble for something before you know somebody, but it seems, that's the way it works.
Has no love for the Audi Fox.
Well, I mean, being a BMW guy, I get the 2002, the beautiful car. So, I mean, great car, though. They're fast. I mean, you used it. It got you the bar in time so that you hadn't to buy drinks, right?
Exactly.
There you go. That's all that matters, right? So.
No, this is RX-7, not exactly the pinnacle of reliability.
Well, no, yes, it was.
It was?
For us.
For you, okay.
Dolores,
so
I've learned.
No.
Well, no, Dolores is a type person that I've learned that if you tell her you must do this, she will do it. And she was told you need to religiously check your oil, you need to religiously change your oil, and she did everything that she was told. And the car was great. So we went ahead and piled all of our camping gear, because this was a camping trip.
Okay.
From Bossier City in Louisiana up to Quebec City in Canada for the 450th anniversary of Cartier discovering the St. Lawrence. and then up around Maine, all down through the fishing villages on the eastern coast, New York City, Baltimore, and then back down to Bossier. And one thing I didn't think through carefully on this trip was it was her car, and we had just met. And if
you had the Fox, she had the RX-7.
She had the RX-7.
Okay. All right.
So it was her car, and if things did not work out, realize we had just met,
She was going home with an RX-7, you were taking the bus.
I would have a long walk back to Bossier.
Home, yeah, exactly, with all that camping gear. Yeah.
But it did work out, and we've been taking long trips, ever since.
When was that trip, out of curiosity?
That was 84.
84. Oh, wow. Okay.
1984.
Yeah.
And we've been tent camping since, and sleeping on the ground, and still are tent camping, even with Otis. So that got us into the long travels. Then we came around to after that. Let me go ahead and switch to Dolores.
Sure. Okay, sure. Yeah, let's hear what Doris has to say about this.
The trip to Canada was great. We had a good time and eventually got married.
How long did you guys know each other when you had this?
When was...
A month?
A month,
so,
wow.
So you, not only did you convince her to go on this trip, you convinced her to take her car. Well, she convinced you to take her car. But, I mean, that's like, I just met you. I want to take you on a trip, and I want to put 5,000 miles on your car.
Right.
It's trusting.
I like it.
I mean, it obviously worked. So.
You didn't see the Audi Fox.
Oh, okay. Is that, boy, there is some hatred for that. But okay,
that is funny. I like what
fair.
I want to start real quick. I like what you guys pointed out earlier is that with the RX-7, notoriously unreliable, but mainly because of the owners. Sure. And until the third gen, where they just became unreliable because of Mazda, the first series of those were actually really good. But like you pointed out, it was because the owners didn't understand add oil to the car, and they naturally burn oil. That's part of the rotary design, and so nobody did that, so they broke all the time. And it was a really tough market for Mazda as a result of that.
This was 79, so it was one of the first models to come into the country.
Very cool, yeah.
It was very cool. So we had a good time there, and we went camping. Now, my family's history of camping is not good. It was like, I got to camp, huh? Oh, well, I guess that'll be okay. So
he's pretty, I'll go.
Right. He's going to pay for a lot of things.
Absolutely, yeah. I get to drive my car, take his stuff, and if I don't want him, I get to put him out in the middle of nowhere.
That's right.
Exactly. He lives in Canada now.
So we get married, we moved to Texas. And I decided to get a degree in horticulture. So I'm driving, I totaled the RX-7. And so I got a 323 Mazda sedan.
Okay. Yeah.
So I decided if I'm going to be a quasi-horticulturist, I need an SUV. And back then, this was, late 80s. SUVs were not popular, and they were still built on truck frames.
Yeah, like the Blazers and things like that.
Well, I got a Montero.
Oh, Mitsubishi Montero. Absolutely, yeah. Okay.
Those were actually good ones back then. Yeah.
They were great. So I could haul stuff.
Yeah.
And I decided I was going to go out and buy it myself. This is in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeehaw.
So
you'll never take the simple route, do you?
No. So
You're from the South. You know better. Go get
them. But, Southern ladies are supposed to be charming and not have issues.
I'd like an SUV, please.
So anyway, so I went and got all of my paperwork done. The credit union had me approved and all this kind of stuff. So then I go from dealership to dealership to dealership, most of which said, "Are you waiting for your husband?" At which point I just said goodbye. And
the last guy said that I shot him.
Anyway, what was really funny, I go to a Jeep dealer, and the salesman is a one-armed salesman, and he's going to show me how good Jeeps are. And so he drives me up a set of concrete steps, and it went up, but it wasn't exactly what I had in mind doing with the car.
Yeah, just bouncing.
So you didn't know
around.
what you were looking for. You eventually bought them on the Mitsubishi, but you were shopping all kinds of SUVs. Okay.
And basically, I wanted to talk to somebody that was willing to talk to me.
Fair enough.
So I finally managed to pick one out, and I found out that the salesman had been an FAA traffic controller who got fired in 81. And at the time, I was working for the FAA. So
This isn't the one-arm guy, though?
no, this is not
gotcha.
the one arm
Okay,
guy.
I see. Working with someone with 2 arms. Got it. Okay, understood.
This is the fellow that was at the Montero dealership.
Ah,
So I went home, told Richard I'd picked my car out, and he said he wanted to see it. Well, it was at the end of the runway where Carswell Air Force Base was, and at the time Richard was in the military, and he knew that the planes were dropping fuel in that area, and we had some hailstorms with some pretty good hail. So he said, and I couldn't see over the roof because I'm vertically challenged. And so
that's some good information that you wouldn't think about, like a dealership at the end of a runway. Like, it might have a few things on it, as far as fuel and things. Okay.
So he said, let's look at the roof. And he looked at the roof, and it had been damaged. It had hail damage on it. So I told them, I had worked for a car dealership, so I knew BS when they were telling me that. And they said, well, you signed this paper, and so you have to buy the car. And I said, no, I don't have to buy anything. Thank you very much. And we went over to Dallas together, and we found the same deal, no hail damage, no runways, and we bought this Mitsubishi Montero, and we started going down to Big Bend, and that's where we started going off-road.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was wonderful. We took it to all kinds of super-duper places, and that was an area that we think is truly, truly underappreciated. It's absolutely beautiful down there.
Now, where's Big Bend?
It's like 230 some miles southeast of the New Mexico line.
Okay.
So it's that area that's down in Texas on the Rio Grande.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
The hump.
It's a Big Bend.
Right?
Yeah.
Big Bend. Okay.
Yeah. So,
I spent time in Lubbock and Roswell. I should probably know that area, but okay.
no, not necessarily. So that's actually where we started, and the car was great. It just was one of those. It never did anything wrong. It never had any damage to it to speak of. And we actually brought it out here when we moved out here in '97. And when I went to register it, the state of Washington actually said it was worth more than I had paid for it new.
Washington, shocking.
Yes. So that when I had to pay for my license, it was considerably more expensive than Texas. I think Texas was like $6.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it ran for 217,000 miles, and it died in our driveway. The water pump went out, and I think it was integral to the engine.
But that's where you want a car to die, is in your
no
driveway.
kidding. Short
Yeah.
walk.
It's a short walk home.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the end of our going off-road for several years.
Had you modified that at all when you guys were? So I mean, it was out of the box. You drove it off the lot and just played with it all the time, and 200 and some thousand miles of water pump went out.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's pretty good. That's a pretty good story.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when it was the beginning of our off-roading together.
Mm-hmm.
I miss that car to this day. We have friends that still have two because they use one for parts and one to take off-road when it runs.
Imagine that. Yeah, okay.
So anyway, so that works out.
I hear the
really
water pumps can go out on them, so you got to be
So
careful.
do I. Yeah. And so we got a BMW station wagon then.
I'm
I'm
a huge BMW guy.
Yes,
I grew up
well,
with BMW
BMW
station
wagon.
wagons.
I would give you this one.
I see. Okay. So not
It was
all of
the
them were.
8-cylinder station wagon, E39.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And every spring, instead of a robin, we would get this message from the car saying, check coolant level.
Yeah, I've seen that on mine. That went all the way up. I think it still happens on BMWs, even on my 2005. Yeah. So, yeah.
We would hoping that the part that they replaced it with, which was typically the radiator, would last long enough that it would still be under warranty when it broke the next time.
Which is good when it comes to BMW parts and labor. So,
Right.
yeah.
So after that was sent to heaven.
So you guys weren't doing any off-roading? You just sort of stopped when the Mitsubishi
Yeah.
died? Okay.
So we talked about what we wanted to get. We decided that we wanted to get another SUV. And there was a rumor that Porsche was going to have a diesel model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason it's called Otis is we did buy one, is that when it was coming over, we they told us, follow your ship and all this sort of things. And it came in San Diego, and it was there, and we're thinking, oh, good, we're going to have it like in a week. Well, we didn't, and didn't have it in 2 weeks, and didn't have it in 3 weeks. And Richard went ahead and looked online, and none of the paperwork had been done as far as customs and carb reports and things like that. So it sat on the dock of the bay, wasting our time away. And we named it after Otis Rally.
Sitting on the dock of the bay. Okay. Let's take our first break.
I love that.
And when we come back, I want to go back a little bit with you guys and kind of talk about where you came from a little bit first. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We'll be right back.
We spend an average of 8 hours and 41 minutes a day facing screens. Laptops, smartphones, tablets, even digital refrigerators. But what are we really connected to? Isn't it time you connected to something greater? Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect. This moment of escape was created by Hagerty for people who love cars.
And we're back. Kind of what we always like to do on the shows, we kind of like to know where people came from. I always call it my Hot Wheels question, like, were you a car kid? But where did you grow up? Where'd you come from?
Actually, Vermont.
Vermont, okay.
And actually on our trip to Quebec, one of the routes that is, I think, one of the best driving roads in the country is Route 100 in Vermont. And it just goes up all through the mountains and what have you.
Yeah.
But
and that's your homeland, then. You knew that area really well. So.
Yes.
And so you grew up there, and then you went into the Air Force, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Graduating at the time frame that I did, most males were given an option, actually not given an option, but were given a free paid vacation to Southeast Asia.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, that time zone. Okay, I got you.
Yep.
Yeah, a warmer climate.
I decided that I would, I wasn't objecting to go, but I wanted to go on my terms, which was as a pilot in the Air Force.
Okay.
And that's the route that I took, which then meant going to college. So that then decision time came from, it's cold in Vermont. And I would rather be in a warmer climate and away from my parents.
Okay.
So I had relatives in the East Coast and the West Coast, and I decided Texas was in the middle. Let's do that. And
that'll work, yeah.
Yeah.
Went to school there. Still, camped and still loved the outdoors at that time.
And you were in the Air Force, correct?
Went to school in Texas,
Yeah.
and then went up to Champaign-Urbana for additional school. And then while I was in the Air Force, they sent me to school up there. Then came back to Texas.
Nice. What were you flying in the Air Force?
Actually, I flew T-33s.
Okay.
Then, as well. Well, the Cessna training that they start you out with. And as we're going through, I never got to go to the advanced pilot school because the war was winding down. So that was a good news, bad news.
Yeah.
It's bad that you don't get to learn to fly. That's good news. You don't have to fly over there. Yes.
But I didn't go to college to get out of serving. I wanted to serve and figured, heck, I'd go and work aircraft maintenance as a maintenance officer.
Like airframe and power plant kind of thing?
Airframe power plant.
Okay.
And after serving in the Air Force, I did get my airframe license. I didn't get my power plant. But that led me into, my career in engineering and aerospace. And
now, before we get to her background, when you guys met, you had a pretty interesting job, right? I mean, what did she say that, she could trust you? What were you doing at that time?
Well, I was assigned to one of 3 places in North America where, if a nuclear war was going to be conducted, we would be the second place of choice that would conduct that activity. And Dolores, working on base, knew that if I had access to that area, that I probably had some security clearances and background checks that would absolve me of being an axe murderer.
They're not going to let so just so we're clear, to clarify, he had his hand over the button. He knew where the buttons were if we needed to. So,
but so that is how we met.
Yeah, and then you guys went on the trip. I want to hear a little bit about Dolores' background as well here. I also want to say this: it was Dolores' birthday this week, so happy birthday!
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I guess it'll be when this comes out. It was Dolores' birthday last week, but still happy birthday!
Yes.
So
Thank you.
yeah.
My background.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to add, I knew he wasn't an axe murderer, but I also knew he was capable of putting an end to civilization as we know it.
Well, I mean, those are on a dating profile these days. That stands out. Yeah. Not willing to kill 5 people, entire countries, maybe.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm actually originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of camping in Baltimore.
No. Urban
Well, there's
camping.
a ton of people sleeping on the street in Baltimore right now.
Probably.
So, yeah.
So, my father was an amateur wrestler with the Baltimore YMCA. And so they had some Olympic athletes on the team and sort of thing. And they would get together every summer and go down to Ocean City, Maryland, and go camping. So that was my introduction to camping.
Okay.
It was awful.
Big fan, huh, at the time? Yeah.
I mean, you're in the middle of sand, and it's getting in the tent, and you're in one of those big canvas tents, and the food is awful, and it was like...
Everybody's trying to wrestle everybody.
Right.
It's,
No Costco
dogs and
dogs,
cats.
no rooftop tents.
No rooftop tents. Okay, yeah.
So it was kind of like, I'll be so glad when I'm old enough where I don't have to do this anymore.
So this is when you were a child.
This is when I was a child.
Okay.
So I'm 14 years old, and my father works for Olin Matheson Chemical Corporation, and they have an aluminum plant in Gulfport, Mississippi. And he gets transferred to Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay.
But I stay down south for something like 36 years. I lived in St. Pete part of the time in Florida. I lived in Panama City, Florida for about 12 years. Gulfport, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, New Orleans. When I met Richard, I had been down there quite some time. And it was interesting because, he was from Vermont and New York, and there I was in Gulfport, Mississippi. So now he'll go, do you remember when such and such happened? And did you see this movie? I was in a town at the time that had 20,000 people in it. They didn't show the kind of movies they showed in New York and that sort of thing. So I started college down there. I actually went to finishing school one year.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you know which side the fork goes on the plate. Yeah, okay.
And I know to cut my hamburger in two.
I see. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I just eat it into two. It's easier. Yeah, it's much easier.
So anyway, the following year I went to University of Southern Mississippi for about 2 years, and I was just playing around. I didn't really want to go to school, but my parents decided I should do that. And eventually my father said, well, you're not taking this seriously, so you can go to work now. So I was back in Baltimore for about a year. Went back to Hattiesburg that summer and got a job with the English department and moved back down south again and just stayed down there after that. And at the time that I met Richard, I had gone to work for the Air Force as a civilian employee in human resources. And
she knew more about you than you even knew.
Well, no, he was in the military. I could look into folders for people that were civilians.
Oh, okay. All right, fair.
But not his.
Okay.
And so that's actually how we met, when we bumped into each other on base, and we've pretty much been together ever since.
And you had a fun sports car, and off on the adventure you went.
Off we went. Yeah,
okay.
so that's the background there.
Well,
How did he ask you out, or did you ask him out?
No, he asked me out, but it was really funny. My name was Dolores Rogers at the time.
Okay.
There are not a lot of people named Dolores anywhere anymore. And he said, I couldn't remember what your name was to call you. I thought, well, you could just walk over to civilian personnel. I mean, that's where I work. You knew that. So it was about a month before he called me. And I turned him down.
all because of that fox.
Yeah,
huh?
I saw his car. I was like, nah.
Yeah, I saw this.
So the next time he called me, I went out with him, and was that Coy Anastasi? He took me to see a movie, Coy Anastasi. If you've not seen it, it's World Out of Control is what the title is. There's no dialogue whatsoever, and Philip Glass did the music. And
he wasn't going to watch the movie. Come on. Come on,
So
it's not in English. Well, it's fine.
So anyway, that was kind of fun. I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. And then the second date, he took me to a rodeo.
That's fun, too.
It was fun, and it was not my first rodeo. I had been to the Snake River Stampede in Idaho.
She's been waiting for that line.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went to see Ray Wiley Hubbard. who's one of the Texas troubadours, and that
Yeah.
was fun. So
Cool.
it was nice and rounded, and he had a lot of interest, and I had a lot of interest. So
Sounds like you guys have a lot of fun doing interesting things from the beginning. It
You're right.
seems to be a theme right off the bat with you two.
I would love to find somebody that I've met after a month and been like, hey, want to go on a giant road trip? You did that, though, kind of. You did, Dan, you did that. I mean, so,
It's
yeah.
kind of my thing.
Yeah. Never do it with me. No.
Taking you on lots of nice road
I
trips.
know
now.
you have. And I felt pretty at the end. So. Well, I mean, it's important. I want to kind of go back up to this. So you ordered one of the first diesels to hit the country, right? Yeah.
Going along with the theme of doing interesting things, when we talked about going off-road, we intended, knowing that we were going to be retiring in the not too distant future, to go ahead and spend a couple of years down in South America, Central America, and go ahead and tour down there. Not just for a week or a month, but spend a couple of years down there.
Live down there, yeah.
And I didn't do my research properly.
It can happen.
I wanted to get a diesel because I figured that would be something that would be a good thing to have if you're going to be doing extended overland travel.
And this is before you were looking at Porsche, or you just knew you wanted a diesel? Or?
We wanted a diesel.
Okay.
And so what was on our horizon is here in Seattle there was a V10 Touareg.
Yeah.
And they had been doing very well on the Dakar races. They were winning, and I figured that would be, a good vehicle to consider. Well, we got a call saying that for the 2012 New York Auto Show, Porsche was going to be bringing over a diesel. To hold on, it hadn't been officially announced, but to hold on.
And were you Porsche fans before this? Like, did you
Yes,
own any
we
Porsches?
were.
Okay.
When we were living in Delaware, when the Boxster first came out, we went on down to the dealer, and it was on a Sunday. One fellow at the dealership, and the dealership's owner's wife had a Boxster that she had just ordered. It was brand new, sitting there. And he was busy. He had appointments. So he threw us the keys to her Boxster and said, have it back before we close. Well, we...
what day? Like tomorrow closing or Tuesday? Or, yeah.
So there are quite a few DuPont estates in Delaware. That's where they're from. And through the Haggerty estate, where they made the gunpowder.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
We went and took it, and we were driving spiritedly. Kind of thought the Boxster was a fun car. Well, we came on out here. And Dolores worked with a fellow that he would work 5/10s to get Fridays off so that he could do what he really wanted, was to be a Porsche mechanic on Fridays. And
Okay.
we had the Boxster experience, and he said, before you
So
do
you drove
something-
it, but you didn't buy one.
We didn't buy one.
Okay.
We drove it there. We came out here, and he said, before you do something rash and buy a Boxster, why don't you try a 911? And we did, fell in love, and we bought an 86 new to us Targa, white with a linen interior. Loved the car until I totaled it.
Ooh, oops.
Then we were avid autocrossers with that up at Bremerton, and RS Americas seemed to be doing better than most of the other cars, including the water-cooled up there.
That's a nice car.
I was looking for a steering wheel, actually, because having a custom car interior later on, when you want to buy parts for the interior, make it difficult. And I found an RS America for sale in Leshai. And the deal was the fellow did not want to sell it. They had just had a kid, and his wife said, you are getting a car that has a rear seat. We know he didn't want to sell it because he kept in touch with us for years afterwards and did it. So we still have the RS America without a sunroof. So
Nice.
Getting one, there are not many with the sunroof delete, but ours is a sunroof delete.
Say you and John Clevin, and I think maybe one or two other people I know.
Maybe.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we still have that and enjoy it. I know which car Dolores has driven because when she has a smile ear to ear, she took the RS out.
Nice.
But we got the call that there was potential for a diesel to come to the New York Auto Show, and then not long after that, we got another call. And they said that this fellow named Jan Kalmer had his Cayenne diesel from Europe, and it was spending time in Seattle. And we're invited to go and take a look at it. So that was really...
What year was this?
This was 2012.
2012, okay. I was trying to remember when those came out.
Really early, yeah.
Yeah, this was early. 2013 was the first year for this country for the diesel, but they were made in the rest of the world from, I believe, 2009.
I love that original body, like 12, 13. It's a bigger one. So, such a pretty car.
Well,
Still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I knew of Jan Kalmer from that. I looked up, and he had done things with his Cayenne diesel, like setting the world speed record driving from Norway all through Europe, the Middle East, all through Africa to the tip of South Africa.
Okay.
And he did this over 10,800 miles, and he did that in a little over 9 days.
Huh.
He and two others. Now, the record that he beat was by Rainier Zetlow, who had set the previous record in a Touareg diesel.
Oh.
So Jan went on, and he took his car from there. He drove.
I'm trying to figure out how you even the reason I say this is I literally just finished this week watching Long Way Down, and it took them 85 days to go from the top of Scotland to the bottom, like on bikes.
Yeah.
And,
well, they were taking their time.
But still, I mean, speed-wise and punishment-wise, wow, 9 days. That's fast Africa. Yeah, okay.
So, he had done other things with the same Cayenne. Drivetrain is stock. The vehicle is essentially stock, except for skid plates and such that you would need for something like that.
And how they sold them in Europe first, right? When did they start selling them in Europe?
2009. 2009.
9? Okay,
Yeah.
9. Okay.
Took the same Cayenne and wanted to see how fast he could drive the coastline of Australia.
I've always wanted to do
Because
that.
why not? Yeah.
Took the same Cayenne and entered a rally that went from Spain through the Sahara on down to Dakar. And anyhow, I figured, okay, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, there must be something to a Cayenne diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we stopped looking at some of the other more traditional rigs to go and do this and settled on the Cayenne diesel. We kept our stock except for body armor, and we took we skewed off of Jan's Cayenne. And
It seems like he did all the testing for you, so good move. Yeah.
But at that time, aftermarket for Cayennes, and not just diesels, but for Cayennes, was non-existent.
Yeah.
And
What was your destination?
our destination was South America.
Just anywhere in South, or you were going to tour around South America?
Right.
Okay, I got you.
For years.
Okay.
And the realization that we have ultra-low sulfur diesel and they don't hit us real hard, and we're restricted to most of North America to go ahead and drive. But we found, after being associated with the car community, we went ahead and searched out and asked, where would you go to get stuff made, custom for the car? Every single person said, you need to go to J&L, you need to talk to Louie and Dan, and get the stuff done right.
Sure.
I love when they give you first names, because then you really know. It's not like just go to these guys, go to this company. It's no, go talk to these two guys. You're like, okay.
Well,
Don't talk to anybody but this two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going down to to J&L, seeing the the known race cars, the F1 type cars, that are down there, didn't think that he would be interested in a pedestrian Cayenne, but no one had done it before, and Louis was just so gracious, and the people down there so wonderful to help us out with the skid plates and the bush bar and such. And then we drove around for a while like that, and we wanted to do a little bit more. So we had come acquainted with Cantrell's.
Oh, yeah. Can't go wrong there.
And so Colin put together a roll bar for us where we mount an internal winch and put skid plates together and adapted the rear wheel carrier. Just did a lot of good work, with that.
Cantrell, you can't go wrong with them. I mean, they're incredible. Yeah.
And another thing that Cantrell did was he put on some rock sliders that.
Did they make them custom for you?
Yeah, everything was custom.
I wonder if that was Keith. When was
It
this?
had to have been.
Yes.
Keith Northrup?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, of course.
Keith built everything in here, like all the wine racks and most everything. So, we understand that. Yeah.
We've had him on the show. His
Northrop
trip.
Fab,
Yeah. Northrop Fab is, I tell everybody, like, if you want it done
right,
and you have the time, Keith's the guy.
Yeah. But, I believe it was Keith, to do that. Then one other thing that we needed was proper lighting.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to an event. Gosh, we've been out there gone out there for 8 years now. The Northwest Overland Rally.
Yeah.
We've been going there. The next it was announced by Ray Heil, and I went ahead and contacted him the other day. And in Plain, Washington, June 16th through 18th will be the next Northwest Overland Rally. And
I was going to go in 2020.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I think we kind of planned it. It was, but yeah.
Yeah, if anybody's an off-roader or even just an overlanding enthusiast, it's really it's such an amazing thing. You're going to see so much and meet great people, so highly recommend it. Thank you for mentioning that.
It's and when we first showed up there, we had a Cayenne, and it was kind of like, oh, yeah, okay.
Are you lost?
Yeah. But the community was wonderful. Yeah. I mean, we learned so much. I mean, there's people like, we were buying from Joe and Dana from the Mule when they were selling out of their garage.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, we've had them on the show.
And I'll see them this weekend, yeah.
Yeah, they were helpful. And then for the lights, we at the time, early days, the Turtec Rally was held in conjunction with the Overlanders.
You can thank Touratech for the Washington and the backcountry overland discovery route. That's Touratech was really who did all that, the backcountry routes. They're very significant. I love them.
So we got to talking with a fellow there who makes Cyclops lights.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
And Daryl is down there.
What were you doing with the car at this time? I mean, you obviously you couldn't take it to South America because of the diesel issue.
Right.
But you were taking it out and doing and testing these things, correct? You knew.
Yes.
I mean, there's one way to find out if you need rock sliders is to take it out and crack something. Like, we've all done it. Like, I should have had rock sliders, or boy, I'm glad I put rock sliders on this kind of thing.
Well, one of the things, that you bring that up is Michael Smith.
Oh, yeah. We know Michael very well.
From Avant.
Yeah.
He, John Davis, Amy Hopkins were an off-road crew that we went ahead and did stuff to go ahead and take our baby steps with. And we learned a lot from that to go ahead and see what the car can do. We went on from there. We've got just a wonderful community of people that are up here. Ben Powell that from, Avant's having...
Brandon Ben Powell. Oh, he hasn't seen it yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, he will.
You can talk about it now, because he won't. He'll see it this weekend.
Very limited, but yes. That's what happens at Thanksgiving when I'm like, I have an idea. And Dan goes, I already ordered them.
So, yeah. We have to be careful because we didn't want to make a political statement. We just thought it was funny. We made a shirt that says, let's go Brandon Ben Powell.
Let's go Brandon Ben Powell. So, yes. I mean, and I have to say, and I know it's happened, so you guys are up in the middle of the wilderness. I mean, how many people have seen you coming around the bend and they're in their Jeep, they're stuck, and you're going by them in a diesel Porsche and they're just like, wait a minute. And you're comfortable, you're warm, you've got lovely satellite radio and GPS and probably the best of the best. Yeah.
Having heated seats, a heated steering wheel, and then one thing on a washboard road that is absolutely wonderful. On the dash, there is a button that says comfort.
Yeah, Jeeps don't have that.
All squishy.
Yeah.
So yes, airing down, but hitting that comfort, button and adjust and having the shocks adjust.
And being in comfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing vehicle, and we just love the heck out of it. But yes, going down the road and seeing somebody, it's it's happened more times than I ever thought. We didn't build Otis we built it for function. We built it for what we want to do. And people seemed to like it. So we were down in Portland. Somebody did a spotted picture. Oh, look what I found. Well, on Facebook, somebody said, oh, that's Otis, and tagged us. We went to Moab. The same thing happened. Somebody took a picture, and we got tagged there, and we got tagged in Idaho, and so it's we didn't do it for the gram, if you will. We don't do Instagram, and we don't do a lot of social media, at all. We're just doing what we want to do for our fun.
You're enjoying life. I mean, that's the important thing, right?
Yeah, and just now we are considering doing more 4-season camping. Camping in 3 seasons in a tent is fine, but the 4th season gets a little sketchy.
It's cold.
So we have a trailer on order.
Oh, cool. What'd you guys end up with?
And, we went and looked around a lot. And there's a company that is in the same office park as, and I get these two confused. There's Earth Roamer and Earth Cruiser. I forget which one is in Bend, but in that same.
I think it's Cruiser because Romer's no.
I don't know. I'm going to look.
Now you got me confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyhow, in that same park is a company called Overkill Campers.
Okay. I like the name already. Yeah.
They have two that are that they make, two versions, a TK and SO, or their slide out.
Okay.
So if you can picture a 5x10 box, the side bumps out like these high-dollar RVs. So you've got a queen-size bed. Then that opens up all the room on the inside. On the back, it flips up. There's a whole pantry. Camp stove, sink, 32 gallons of water, got over 280 watts of solar on the top, two Battleborn 100-amp batteries, 3,000-watt inverter. It just goes on and on and on with a stick in this 5x10 box.
And what is it sitting on, like platform-wise, suspension-wise? Because I'm assuming that's going to make it
got
available to go anywhere.
It's got Timbren suspension.
Okay.
There you go.
No wood. It's all structural foam inside of it, so it's lightweight. It's got the rock and roll hitch. It just ticks all the boxes.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you guys are having this built to your specifications?
Yes.
Okay.
So we were concerned. There's a company that rents them, and out of Bend as well. We've rented one twice. Once just to go to a state park to see if it's anything that we would want. Then the second one was we took it to Moab.
Okay.
And we spent 2 weeks in Moab. Now, what's a good test down in Moab with a trailer? The Schaefer switchbacks.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You get hairpin turns and a 19% grade.
Yeah.
Is the Cayenne going to play nice with this trailer? And it was wonderful.
Great.
It was super.
How many miles do you have on the Cayenne now?
Over 220,000.
Nice.
Awesome.
Principally off-road miles.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not your daily, is it?
Yeah, it is
Is it
too.
daily?
It is too.
Okay.
And but around town we take transit quite a bit. We're fortunate in that we've got a bus stops right in front of the house that goes right to light rail. And
I'm sure that's a tough decision when you walk into your garage and see the RS America and the Cayenne. Do I want to take the bus today? So yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll pass it over to Dolores to talk about a Moab experience.
Yeah.
Moab was really interesting. There is a Facebook group that got together on Facebook for several months, and they decided they should all meet each other. And they came from Oklahoma, Colorado, Washington, Utah.
Is it Cayenne owners then, or Porsche owners?
No,
Oh.
no. There were lots of Jeep owners. There was like 16, 18 people, families, that sort of thing. No, we were the only we're usually the only Cayenne there because the local Porsche club doesn't really support going off-road. So we decided this would be really a fun trip. And so we left here and we went to Twin Falls and we camped at one of the hip camps. They're sort of like an Airbnb, except they're people. This was a farm. Mm-hmm. And they have a facility there. You sleep in your own tent or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then they typically provide electricity, and that's about it.
Just a place to stop that
It's
is
just a place
safe
to
and
stop,
is designated.
right.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And what was really fun about this place is she had kittens that were oozing in and out. It was
Makes everything better.
It was really fun.
Unless you're deathly allergic. But other than that, you're great time.
So, and she was really very, very nice. So we spent one night there, and then we stayed at Palisades in Bend. It's about 30, 40 miles.
This is when you
north of
rented
Bend.
the trailer, correct?
This is when we got the trailer in Bend, yeah. And so Palisades is amazing. It really is. The Palisades, of course, are the cliffs that surround this park, and to get to it, you go down and down and down, and then you cross a bridge and go up and up and up, and it's a lovely spot. And so we've stayed there several times on our way down to Bend. And then once we left Bend and went to Twin Falls, we got to the area where we were. It was a group camp on Forest Service lands with the group that got together. And this was such a fun group. And the fellow that organized it, when we were sitting around the campfire, because apparently you can have campfires there without any trouble at all, in September.
You don't know until you light one.
True, yeah. So he said, we can talk about anything except politics or religion. And that was it. So everybody got along great. And
I like him already.
yeah, he was cool. And they had several options that we could do. And so we did some off-roading and that sort of thing. So that worked out well. But I really enjoyed the Schaefer switchbacks, partially because I have this idea that if we're going to go over a cliff and it's on Richard's side, I don't have anything to worry about.
Okay.
It's not rational, but it makes me feel a lot better.
Oh, you can get out as it's going off is what you're saying.
No, I'm going to die along with him.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
that's
see.
okay.
Yeah.
But
In my mind, I'm like, well, it's on the other person's side. I can just get out of the car.
Did you guys start from the bottom and go up then? Or did you go down?
we went down.
Oh, wow. Okay. I went up it and I went down. What's the one? Just the other trail just past that I went down. But yeah, that's a harrowing road.
Well, what's interesting is they keep the switchbacks fairly level.
Yeah.
Although there was a car in front of us. It was an Audi, I believe. And it was just like a station wagon. And
I'm making a face.
Yeah, don't do
so Richard, they had pulled over to take a picture, and so we stopped behind them. And Richard said, are you going all the way? And the guy said, well, Facebook said we could. And
I hate that phrase.
And Richard said, well, do you mind if we pass you and just go on? And we didn't.
I don't want to be on the recovery team. Can we go ahead of you, please?
Exactly.
Yeah. You're pulling the trailer at this time, too, right?
Yeah, they were pulling
Yeah.
the trail.
Yeah.
And so the road on the switchbacks, other than the fact that they're switchbacks, is actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
When you get down to that bottom road, that gets really, really rough. And then we went through where the potash.
Mm-hmm. Right by the potash. Yeah.
We went by there, and we went by Thelma and Louise, the jump-off point. We have pictures of that. And so that was just absolutely wonderful. And we had a great time. But everybody was going to leave on a Sunday, and we hadn't planned on leaving till Monday. So we were looking for a place to camp. And we went into the Moab area where they tell you, you can do this or you can do that. And
Yeah, they're very helpful there.
yeah.
One of the most helpful places I've ever been when you just come look at your vehicle and be like, hey, you can do this, you can do that. You only just bought it for this.
Right.
Really great.
Yeah, Dan was just there.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
She's there in October.
So she said, well, the ranger had told us at Dead Horse
State Park. Yeah.
Oh my God, is
Isn't that
that
beautiful?
place wonderful? Yeah. He had told us that there was an area to the right when you go up the highway that was something
Corners.
No, something Springs.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she said I wouldn't go there. She said a lot of people that are camping, they're actually living there.
Oh.
So she said you'll take this road. It's the Kalinsky Well Road or Kaminsky Well Road, something like that. She said, take that and just keep going, and you'll come to Spring Point. So we said, this is good. She said, I've done it in a sedan.
Why is everybody doing this stuff in sedans?
Well,
You'd be surprised what people do in sedans in Moab.
No, I'm just...
yeah. So anyway, we get there, we find where we're supposed to go, and we find the well that the CDC built. And but the road was rough. It was similar to after you come down the switchbacks.
Mm-hmm.
It was that sort of terrain. And so we get to this area where there's a bluff. And Richard said, why don't we pull up here? We can look down on the Green River.
Mm-hmm.
But the road is not going to be a fun road to go down and stay at the river. So we figured that's okay. Beautiful sunset. Everything's great. Middle of the night, there's a windstorm. Now, we're 1,200 feet above the river on an open space with nothing to protect us. And
High altitude, nothing. Yeah, okay.
so anyway, the trailer's doing this, and I'm doing this. And so
Trailer was moving back and forth. She was praying for visual learners.
Yeah.
So anyway, Richard said, well, let's get out of the trailer and we'll we'll close the bump out, and we should be okay then because it'll lower the center of gravity in the trailer. Well, that was a little harder than we had anticipated because you had to open the door and then hold the door open, and then the bump out is mechanical. You don't push a button, and so by the time we would reach for it, the wind would blow it back out. Again.
Yeah.
So there were several tries to do that, and eventually we were successful and crawled back in the trailer, and it was fine after that. But I kept thinking, we'd been down the switchbacks, we did Potash, we did Thelma and Louise, we did some pretty gnarly trails, and we're going to die up here.
They're going to wonder how it happened. Yeah. Did you see that trailer go flying? Yeah.
Annie M.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Best Wizard of Oz experience, yes.
Yeah.
But, the next day it was great.
Yeah, it's always worth it out there. It's so beautiful at night out there, too.
It's gorgeous.
I don't recommend doing the off-roading at night out there without a lot of lights.
Yeah. Well, there was one couple that came down, and they were going to go down to the river, but they weren't going to spend the night. They were coming back. But by the time they came back, it was dark.
Yeah.
And but they didn't see. They actually knew what they were doing. That Facebook hadn't told them that it was okay. Yeah. And now the Alcan.
Yes, I was going to say, this is what I've been dying to hear about. Like you guys have probably heard me say, I've been dying to do the Alcan since I was a kid, and I've got the right vehicle for it now. So.
Well, then sign up.
Oh, I know.
We have not done the summer Alcan. We've done the winter Alcan twice. We did it in 2016 and 2020.
I actually don't have a lot of interest in doing the summer one.
Yeah.
It's the ice and the cold challenge that I really want. And you can go farther.
The summertime, it's the mosquitoes and the heat. And I have nothing against motorcycles, but there's also a motorcycle contingent. And apparently they're kind of like herding cats because they go off and do what they want to do and then come back again.
Yeah, those people.
Yeah, Nick.
So
hot exhaust pipes.
So for those people that aren't aware of the Alcan 5000, you drive basically 5,000 miles in 10 days.
Yeah.
One way.
Yeah.
So you start in Kirkland, and you're staying in hotels. And each year it's a different route. And so the first time we did it, which is 2016, we went up the Dalton, which is I won't say it's a benign road, but it's not the Dempster.
No.
And so we had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and you do regularities, time, speed, distance regularities. Part of it, though, is you're driving 600 or 700 miles a day. And people go, how can you do that? But your adrenaline is there, and the scenery is just so amazingly beautiful most of the time, except when they're whiteouts and blizzards. And then
That never happens in Alaska, especially in winter.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the Dalton. I really did. And you wind up in Anchorage for the start of the Iditarod.
Yeah.
It's not the true start, but it's still the start. And for people that haven't seen sled dogs, they don't look anything like a husky. They look like these yappy little, I want to run dogs.
Just massive balls of energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how they must sedate them when they're not running. I have no idea.
I think they run them when they're not running. Truthfully, they got them running. Yeah.
And so that's always fun. And then, but the 2020 one started out the same. We went to Griswell, I think it was the first night, which is what we did then. And then we were on our way to Whitehorse, and we ran into this blizzard over Pink Mountain, and it was like the Star Wars effect. The snow's coming toward you. You can't really see where you're going, and so there's posts on either side of the road, and you just ride down the middle of the road and keep the post on either side, hoping that something's come down the opposite direction, like a fuel truck.
Yeah.
Is not going to run you off the road. So one of the participants is from Taiwan, and he and his family have a lot to do with come-up winches.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben.
Yeah.
And so he was so
I know
cute.
of him. Sorry.
He was so cute. And so we get to Whitehorse and we walk into the motel and he comes up to me. His eyes are just huge. And he goes, "Is this going to happen again? This doesn't happen in Taiwan." And I went, "I hope not."
I'm thinking the same thing you are.
Yeah. I love those guys. We talked about them in our off-road gear you should buy. We talked about winches, and we have 2 listed as Warn, because obviously they're tested, but also Come Up. I don't know any other company who currently is doing as much torture testing as them, and I know Joe and Dana are big supporters of Come Up winches, and they have been great. So if anybody's curious for another option outside of Warn, Come Up is a really great brand.
It is.
Good people, too.
Right.
Yeah, family-owned business. Yeah,
So the Alcan always starts in Kirkland and ends in Anchorage, but the route is different, correct?
Not the summer one.
Not the summer one. No, I'm sorry, the winter one.
Yeah,
okay.
typically. And so then things were pretty well, and there's an area called the Tombstones that you go through. And we didn't get to see it because we had a whiteout. And so that kind of messed that up.
Yeah.
But so we get up to Innuit, and then we went up to Tuktoyaktuk.
Oh, wow.
On the new road.
Yeah, the new road's there now. That's right.
Yeah.
How is the new road?
It's fine.
Good.
As long as the weather's okay.
Yeah.
So we're in Innuit, and we went up to Tuktoyaktuk that morning, and it was amazing to be walking on the Arctic Ocean in the beginning of March. It was just beautiful. And so we get back, and we're going to spend the night, we think, at the beginning of the Dempster. And I'm sitting in the lobby of the hotel, because we had checked out, and I hear the woman at the desk say, "You mean the road is closed at the end of the Dempster because there's a blizzard?" And I'm going, my mama didn't raise no dumb children. So I went back and I said, "Can we have our room back?"
Yeah.
Because they only had, I think, 4 rooms left. And so we got our room back. And we actually spent that night there and missed the blizzard. But so the people in that area where people got stopped actually took them in. And one of them was a church, and they were having a wake. So everybody was invited to the wake.
Different way of living up there.
And apparently it was a party, so everybody had a good time. And then the next day we came back down again, and it was beautiful, clear weather.
All that fresh snow.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons why the highway was closed is because the temperatures had sunk down to 40 below Fahrenheit.
Been in that. It sucks.
And the winds had gone up to 60 miles an hour with a blizzard, and that resulted in a wind chill of 90 below.
Yeah, no thanks. I've been in that.
And,
No.
So just for the safety of
bunch of
people, just for the safety of people, they go ahead and they close the roads in conditions like that because it's white out and those type conditions. And Eagle Plain is the place where people at that end, on the north end, stop at, and they do have a place to stay there and then fuel and what have you. It was really, really nasty. But coming back from the Eagle Plain, we got to go back through the Tombstones, and it was sunny, and it was absolutely glorious. It was, beautiful going through there. Like Dolores said, driving 10 hours a day competitively for 10 hours straight in a rally that is internationally known. In 2016, we had one team that came from South Africa, and we also had a team that came from New Zealand, both driving Porsche 944s.
Hey.
It's just a wonderful experience. People think time, speed, distance, you're doing all speeds at or below the speed limit. What's really to get excited about that? Well, I can say that, and for the Jeep people, they may know of a company called Evo that makes parts. Mel Wade owns Evo. Mel Wade every year goes on the Alcan, both summer and winter. Another driver, Lauren Healy, he's an Ultra 4 driver.
Yeah.
People like that are professional, high-speed off-road drivers come to this event because it is challenging. And it's challenging both for the vehicles and it's challenging, personally. And you want to be prepared. We bring, going off-road, we have 6 tires and 6 wheels and tires, and 6 both for summer and for winter. We do the KO2s for the summer, and right now we've got studded Huckabalitas on.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
And they really came in handy because one of the challenges of the Alcan 5000 is there's always an ice race. And this year, the ice race was on the frozen Yukon River at Dawson City. We passed on getting a sourdough cocktail.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
Oh, that.
You've read about that. Yeah.
But I made a wrong turn going from, the town down to the ice. They have a ferry that goes across with a ferry road, and I figured that's the road that everybody took. And it looked solid, and it was solid for about, the first third. But then I broke through the crust, and we're down on the rails. So everybody, we're competitors, but in conditions like that, everybody helps everyone else out.
Yeah.
To go ahead and have people like Lon Healy and Mel Wade and Mel's daughter, Harley, help you recover, that was...
So you broke through the ice?
We didn't break. We were not on the river. We were on the road going down to the ice.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute.
The crust on the snow is what you fell into.
Yeah,
The crust from the snow we fell down
Okay,
through.
I was like, how do you recover from that?
Get your scuba gear.
No, it was. There's challenges all the way through, and everybody's vehicle breaks down at some point for something. No matter how well prepared you think you are on those kind of conditions, you're really testing your vehicle as well.
I mean, how did the car do with the cold? Because I know a lot of people that have done that. They use, and Dan knows the term, but basically they block off the radiator so that you keep some heat in the car and things like that.
Well, here's a EPA North American issue. In Europe, Porsche sells a heater for the Cayennes, and it's a Webasto heater.
Oh, a block heater?
So it's an actual block heater that burns fuel from the main tank, tied into the water jacket, so you then as well heat the engine, and it blows warm air into the car, so your car is warm when you get into it in the cold temperatures. We can't have those here in North America because they exhaust out into the atmosphere.
I know you can retrofit them, and I know people who have, but they're technically not illegal.
Right.
Not illegal. Yeah.
So
that basically the car is running all night. Okay. So
not
all night.
No. Well, basically with the Webasto heater is running.
Yeah, not the car though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what we have is a heater pad that we stuck on the oil pan, and go ahead and plug in with that, which it did. It did help. With
anything's better than nothing.
We didn't have to block off I don't know of anybody that blocked off the radiator, for getting extra. But stuffing your vehicle is something that I would think everybody, that goes on this at some point during the rally, you will get yourself where you need to get unstuck.
Sure.
And that was our time to go ahead and do it. But ice racing out there was wonderful. The regularities were wonderful. It's just, is it fun? No, it is not fun. It is an adventure. It isn't, and I don't know if you've seen the little cartoon that's up on, on Facebook, to where it's a whole line graph to where, did you lose a hand? Yes. Did you die?
No.
No. Okay, then you had an adventure.
Yeah. But did you die? Yeah. As the saying goes.
So after doing the 2016, both Dolores and I, when we had the opportunity to do 2020, it was like, yes, we're in. And the challenge, I think probably the biggest challenge of the Alcan 5000 is getting an entry in.
Yeah.
Because how it works is those people that have done the last night of the rally, they have the opportunity to sign up for the next one. And a good number do, like Mel Wade. He's going to be in Kirkland for the start of the summer one. He does that, and a lot of others do. But there are a lot of other rallies that are around in the Northwest, and we've got a really active community up here, both in Washington State and in BC. There's one rally that's we missed it principally because of the floods up in Cache Creek.
Yeah, I was going to say, poor Canada right now.
It's so the Totem Rally was canceled, but in the beginning of February, if you get on the Rally BC webpage, there's a rally that is amazing. It's called the Thunderbird Rally.
Did you guys have any trouble in 2020 coming back into the United States? Like it seems like you guys you were up there when all this crap was starting to hit.
Well, the villages, the First Nations people were shutting down right behind us.
Okay, yeah.
And what we did is after driving all that and getting to Anchorage, we shipped our car home.
Oh, okay.
And we went and
I think Trevor did that too, didn't he, Dan?
Yeah.
He was up there at the same time.
He may have, yeah.
Yeah, he shipped his
he
Audi.
did.
He
That's
shipped
right.
his Audi
That's
home,
right.
yeah.
He had
Yeah.
the same problems. That's right.
Yeah.
thanks to an airline that flies Jerry Garcia on the tail, we came home.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And and did that. We shipped the car with a company that I think now is really tied into to the Alcan Rally, family-owned company that does absolutely wonderful. Ship it right down to Kent, secure facility.
Nice.
And it really
was
worked out
boated
well.
or flown down?
They truck it down because of the ice and what have you during the wind. But you have cars that are like Mel Wade in his Jeep. It was very well prepared, as you expect, and we did the best we could with ours. It's not what the vehicle is. TSD Rally is about precision driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about going fast. It's about following the route and following the speeds that you're supposed to go.
Yes.
For instance,
There's the problem I'd have.
Right.
I could get there first. What do you mean I'm penalized?
if the speed limit is 35, they may tell you to do 32.
Boo. No.
They know when you start, when you start,
Yeah.
and they know but you don't know where you're going to be time hacked in the middle. And that's where they get you.
I was going to say, because Nick could just be doing, and I'd be doing circles at the end. Whee!
Well, like we were talking with what's her name last week, I'm like, if I saw the time thing, I'd just slow down.
So
I know it wouldn't work.
To bring that point really home, the vehicle that won the 2020 Winter Alcan was a 1973 Capri.
That's awesome.
A 1973 Capri. Let that sink in.
That is not what I expected.
Not what I would want my coffin to be. Because they're talking about these snowstorms. I'm like, I mean, I'd be uncomfortable in the Porsche. I mean, I'd be comfortable in the Porsche, but,
Yeah.
73 Capri, I'd be going, oh, God, we're going to die.
Thunderbird is coming up in February, and then the group that is more local here is the Rainier Autosports Club, and getting on their webpage, they have a rally called Raindrop. And it's for somebody that is a complete, total novice that hasn't done this type of driving event before. And I believe
Dan and I are more dewdrops than raindrops, but yeah.
I believe if this comes off, because even with COVID winding down a bit, it's still presenting challenges, that there's a potential for it to come up in the beginning of May, and it's looking like it will be a route that'll go around Whidbey Island.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Interesting.
I guess we enjoy the scenery more than we.
Are you guys both driving on these things?
No, Dolores navigates and I drive.
Okay. Oh, that's
But-
why you get places on time. I get it. Okay.
It's it's really challenging to follow the directions, and it's more challenging to follow the speed limits, particularly with the Cayenne, because our speedometer is off by 3 miles per hour plus 5%.
Oh, yeah. I guess you could go standalone GPS. I mean,
No. Well, it depends on what class you're in.
Oh,
if
right,
you're seat
yeah.
of the pants, you have pencil paper, and you can go all the way up. Some people are very serious about this. You think about it, when you turn, your outside wheels are turning more than what your inside wheels are.
right.
They will have all four wheels instrumented, multiple computers running, and I mean we don't do that.
Like, that's a lot of math. I want to do that.
But
Yeah, I'd have to take my shoes off. Count to 20. It would suck. Yeah. So.
But it's a fun sport and beautiful.
That's why I drive. I drive to explore. Doesn't matter what it is, off-road or on-road. I like to go see every back road I can get my hands on. I want to be in there and get my tires on, I should say.
Agreed.
And another type of driving event that we, since we have done ice racing, there's a whole ice racing series that is not far from here. Up in British Columbia, they have Barnes Lake, and if you get on Cars on Ice, or they're on motorsportsreg.com as well, they have races up there.
Yeah, there's no shortage of things to do around here. That is for sure.
There were several things that came to mind while Richard was talking. Number one, we were at Northwest Overland Rally probably 4 or 5 years ago, and this young girl came up to us and said, "What do you mean taking a Porsche off-road?" And I'm sitting there looking at a G-Wagon. That's like, and I went, "Well, it's meant to be taken off-road." And she said, "You don't take Porsches off-road." And I said, "Well, what about that G-Wagon?" And she said, "It's not a Porsche."
Those people are wrong.
Yeah. Say it's like taking a Range Rover off-road, except it'll keep running.
Don't go away mad. Just go away.
I was at the Center for Urban Horticulture, which is out by U Village, and I was in a class, and I went out to the parking lot to get something out of Otis, and this guy sort of yells at me and goes, "Are you Otis's mother?" and I went, "Yeah, I guess I am." That wasn't the end of it. His wife was there. He went, look, it's Otis's mother. No, she had no idea what he was talking about.
Why are you yelling at that nice lady getting in her Porsche?
So,
oh, my God, she doesn't take that off-road, does she? Porsches don't go off-road.
So it was just, so I have been known as Otis's mother, which is fine with me because, like, Richard and I really try and stay out of the limelight. And so my
consider that a thing. You should hear what people call us. Well, right.
My Facebook page is Eartha Eileen. It's named after one of our previous Afghan hounds. So people think my name's Eartha and Richard's name is Otis, which to me looks like American Gothic. We need to stand in front of our Porsche with a
pitchfork. You know, that could work.
That would actually be really funny,
That could really work, yeah. Visually, I mean.
Yeah, that would be really funny.
Anyway, that was my last 2 cents.
I love it. Let's take a quick break. We come back. We'll finish out here, talk about a little more of the things we're up to, the Avance Off-Road event that you probably should have been at, and we'll be right back.
Grandpa, what do you call this thing again?
It's a 66 Ford Bronco.
I think you got ripped off.
Why is that, honey?
It's got no Wi-Fi, no USB port, no Bluetooth.
Exactly. I guess we'll just have to talk.
Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect.
Is that the window button?
It's called a window crank.
Cool. The faster I move it, the faster it goes down.
This moment of escape was created by Haggerty.
Being old is kind of cool, Grandpa.
Works for me.
For people who love cars.
And we're back. If you guys, by the time you're listening to this, you've already missed the Avance Off-Road event, where I probably cooked a ton of hot dogs, even though I recorded before that. It could
always out there with your hot dogs.
I know.
I'm sad I'm not going to be there, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
They're always fun. You
I'm sorry I wasn't there.
Yeah. You sorry you weren't there.
Yeah, that.
If you were there, if you come to these, that's where I met these two originally. Well, I think we've met in the past before that, but I think that's really where we connected, and that's the main thing. Which is a great thing about Avance. One of the things that I love that you guys do, even though you say you keep a low key, you don't do a lot of social media, is that you have really valuable comments in the Avance community. When people post an Avance Off-Road and you guys post up, you guys are both I don't know who answers, but it's a wealth of knowledge. And I love that because this is why people join Avance, is for this kind of information. If I'm going to go on the Alcan, which I obviously plan to do, guess who I'm going to ask about what do I need to do to prepare and who should I talk to? And
who do I have to kill to get a spot?
Right. And chances are, I mean, you guys have been doing this a long time. You probably have been on every road I'm ever going to go on out here, which is fantastic. But there's so many great places up here in BC. I want to give some thoughts to our Canadian listeners. We have a lot of Canadian listeners. We have a lot of Canadian friends. Some of our closest friends are Canadian.
Acquaintances.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but a lot of our listeners are from Canada, and we love going up there. It's one of my favorite places to go in the world, even though it's right across the border. Going up into the Canadian Rockies and Banff and Jasper and that area is...
I miss Canada.
Literally one of my favorite things to do. So thoughts are with you up there. We're sorry for everything you're going through. I know it's tough with all that flooding. Hit you.
One of our first trips was up to Canada.
Oh, yeah?
We have two friends, both from the rally community, the time, speed, distance rally community, and off-road community. And we went up to Vancouver Island.
Well, that's a great place.
We went to the southwestern part of Vancouver Island, which is mainly logging country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of talk about which radio should I have in my rig. You know, GMRS is catching on now, and FRS, I think, is going you know, more by the wayside, and ham, of course. But when you're traveling in areas like that, and even in this country, you know, as well in logging country, you have got to have a CB. And that is the reason you've got to have a CB, is that is what the logging trucks use.
Yeah.
These logging roads are narrow roads. We know that because we drive that when we're at the same roads we use. I mean, they're there principally for the loggers. When they've got a full load and they're barreling down that road, they want to know where you are as much as you want to know.
Yeah.
And they all have signs by the side of the road saying, you know, channel X, and then what mile point you're at. And that chatter is critical. You know, to have a good CB. So we've got a CB.
We ran into that on Wabder, didn't we?
Yep.
There was that section that was, Yep.
Yeah. I've seen that quite a bit. I saw Idaho BDR more than I saw it on Wabder, but yeah.
We'll see it next year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm going to recycle that as a Carter Subaru tip of the week. Yeah. I'm just going to tell you guys now I'm going to use it again.
You'll think you've heard it before because you have.
Ham radio is also critical, we think. We both have our license. We would do in the Wabber down in the southern part. And Dolores noted that a couple of valleys over, a wildfire had broken out. And thanks to our ham, we were able to go ahead and get a call in, and the call actually made it to the Forest Service station in Randall. You know, that, hey, you've got a brand new forest fire that has just now broken out, which they want to know.
Oh, yeah.
They want to know quick.
Nobody's going to believe that. Some lady named Dolores was up there setting a fire in her Porsche. They're like, Porsches don't go up there. And who names anybody Dolores? She's going to get away with it.
Especially Dolores with a D-O versus a D-E.
Right, I saw that.
Exactly.
But, no, we came on, when we got down to Oregon and came on back up, we stopped in Randall, and they were very appreciative that we had called that in. But, you know, as far as, you know, putting out advice, when we first did this, quite a few people were saying we needed to monetize Otis and we need to get on social media, and we have no interest in doing any kind of monetization. What our goal is to try to go ahead and help people with our experiences, our mistakes, and things that we have found out. And, you know, one thing that people come on is, okay, how much of a lift should I get? And how big of a light bar should I get? Well, comments that I try to make are, take the vehicle as is, street tires, find an off-road group, or go by yourself on a road that is, you know, a fairly easy off-road to go ahead and take, and learn your vehicle and figure out what you want to do. Mm-hmm. There's lots of marketing out there for all kinds of, especially now with overlanding being popular, people coming up with things that you really need a rooftop tent. You can't be an overlander if you don't have a rooftop tent and a light bar. Well,
I love mildew.
That's not necessarily so. You need to find out what you want to do and build and acquire what you need to do the tasks you've got.
Yeah, and it'll probably change a lot over time, I've noticed. I mean, I've got the rack in my truck, the retracts. It's great stuff, don't get me wrong, but I should have got the canopy to begin with. That's really what I would have been the right build for my truck, and I'm just going to move it along.
But you and I have built many builds, and we've just become, we figured out what, and we go along that lifeline in the fact that, like, my Subaru, I started stock, and then I realized I was scraping on a few things, and so I put some suspension, and I realized I need skid plate, and I only did the necessities. Believe me, I want to put a winch on the front of that, but I do not need it. So, yeah.
I have yet to use my winch, but now the snow's coming down.
Right?
I'm looking forward to using my winch.
You know, getting back on, you know, some more basic stuff, one thing that we urge people that are wanting to go ahead and color, as I say, color outside those pesky yellow and white lines, is to get training.
Oh, yeah.
There are certified people that can train. The Northwest Overland Rally has a lot of training. There's local groups like Mike Block up on Camino Island, has a training thing to learn how to do things properly, especially recovery. Recovery can be dangerous and can really hurt you if you don't do it right. And then having proper gear.
We've done multiple episodes about that, especially with Brandon Ben Powell and things like that, and that's why we are a big part of the Avance training and things like that for recovery. So we do understand that.
It's fun for us now, and we do. I think we do as much recovery as we do off-roading. Half the time, us off-roading is just finding people and getting them out of the mountain, which is usually half the day. But it's fun because it's also frustrating for them because we'll go up there and they'll be like, "Oh, you're stuck." We'll have them out in like 5 minutes. They've been up there for like 10 hours. like, boy, if you just aired down, from 50 to, I don't know, not 50, like 30, they would have just crawled right out. There's just the basics. But
And what you said is exactly one reason we really like this community is that when people are out on the trail, it's not, everybody helps each other out.
Yeah, we agree. Speaking of helping each other out, what do we have coming up with Avance?
Well, it's getting close to Christmas, so of course the end of the month gets very quiet for us. And
that's no excuse.
I know.
People need to.
I hope you
Christmas
go play with
Day.
all your toy stuff that we told you to buy
Yeah.
over Christmas. But let's see, the Saturday the 18th, there's 2 events going on. There's the Avance Portland launch party. That is welcome Sherry Harbor DeVos. If you were an Avance member and down in Portland, or if you're a listener down in Oregon, I highly recommend you check out that group full of great people. She is going to be an awesome leader. I'm excited to have her on board. Heck of a driver. And then, speaking of expanding further, Avance Denver, Glenn Shelley Open House. Glenn Shelley Auto Brokers in Erie, Colorado is doing an open house. So those are the last 2 official Avance events of December, the 11th they're both on the 18th. So not a lot in the Northwest past the Avance Off-Road event. Well, there's a lot coming up. Of course, we will be back in January with more off-road events, and there's a new article in the works. I know Carl's really busy right now. Hasn't returned his calls.
He never does.
I know. So. If you want to get a hold of these 2, though, you can follow Otis Porsche. And just do a Google search online for Otis Porsche. You will find them, guaranteed, in many, many places, and tons of pictures. And obviously, you can probably run into them at any Overland event, any Avance Off-Road event. Well, not all of them, but they're around. They're not too hard to find, and you will not miss their car once you've seen it. So we'll be sure to post photos.
Thank you guys for taking time and coming in. I'm sure you'll be on to the next rally, and we look forward to being out there with you, and thanks for doing it. For this episode of Rain City Supercars, I'm Nick.
I'm Dan, and don't just get there. Enjoy the drive.